The gift of a child's smile, the carefree sound of laughter, the warmth of a hug.
Children deserve to be happy. Children deserve to be cared for.
Our mission to protect children from abuse and neglect and to strengthen families.
My name is Mary Ellen. I am not sure how old I am. Mama has been in the habit of whipping and beating me almost every day.
Those are the words of a 10-year-old girl whose father died in the Civil War. The woman she speaks of is the lady who adopted her.
She struck me with scissors and cut me.
This was the first widely acknowledged case of child abuse. And when the crusading Etta Wheeler heard about it, she alerted the ASPCA because there were no child protection laws back then.
There is no time to lose.
ASPCA officials Henry Berg and Elbridge Gary launched an investigation. Mary Ellen's abuser was tried and convicted. And thus was born the New York Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, the agency to which founder Elbridge Gary dedicated the rest of his life.
We are taking the worst cases of child abuse and neglect imaginable. A child is sexually abused in the schools and we're called. A child is beaten and raped and left for dead and we're called.
They're the tragic stories we see on television.
The father was sentenced for burning his son on a stove and then sticking him into the oven.
A beloved teacher's aide at a top-performing public school is charged with child sex abuse.
An 8-year-old girl's cry for help in a child abuse case that brought even authorities to tears.
And read about in the newspapers. It happens in places of poverty and the halls of privilege. There are 245 incidents of child abuse and neglect in New York City every day. That's 57,000 cases a year.
They are the children that are tied up and beaten. They are the children that are sexually abused. They are the children that are witnessing homicides of their parents or one parent killed the other. The stories are heartbreaking.
We can identify the problem and we know the solution. At the NYSPCC, work is done on two fronts: preventing abuse in the future and helping those who've been abused to heal.
When I was 15, turning 16, my stepdad sexually harassed me. My mother didn't want to believe me at the same time, so she kicked me out. And then my grandmother, she was sick, and they were saying she couldn't take care of me.
If being abused by a family member weren't enough, Alicia was pushed into foster care, and her mother still doesn't believe anything happened.
She doesn't believe it. Says they shouldn't believe it. And I have two sisters, and I'm just like, she's not going to protect them.
So you worry about your sisters?
Yeah, every day I worry about my sisters.
Alicia says it would be a lot worse if she didn't have Kathy Lotzas.
I have Miss Kathy, who's like been like a constant force there, and then she's taught me to kind of curb my anger a little bit.
The single best predictor of how a child does in the aftermath of sexual abuse is whether they're believed or supported by a loving, trusted adult. Children that come often have experienced a sense of loss of control. They come scared, they come sad, anxious, overwhelmed by the circumstances that brought them here. They come in many ways without a voice. They can't trust anyone.
Bit by bit, trust is rebuilt in one-on-one sessions with a caring counselor, through art therapy, where emotions can be expressed without words, or with puppets.
Would you like a hug? It might make you feel better. Yes.
We'll use puppets to allow them to create a space where they can process the themes of what they experience in a more displaced or externalized way. Assigning language to what they've experienced can be really overwhelming for a child.
The Society helps heal families with parent training and supervised visits. At times, the starting point is simply teaching parents how to play with their kids. The Nyspcc also provides training for professionals on how to recognize and report suspected abuse, argues for legislation to strengthen child protections, and helps caseworkers debrief and cope with their challenging work. And society experts are regularly quoted in the press on issues of child welfare. It works.
You've got some pretty ambitious and exciting life goals.
I'm studying to be a social worker.
Anybody special that you're thinking of when you think of becoming a social worker?
First there was Miss Kathy, and then my own social worker, my agency social worker, he solidified that I want to help kids. I want to help kids like me.
Part of what the healing is helping them begin to be able to look at the abuse not as I am an abused child, but this abuse was a little part of something that happened to me. They begin to view themselves as a child who had a traumatic experience, not as I'm damaged or I'm abused. I think that's what just keeps us all coming back day after day, because it really is, it's life-changing work, it's life-saving work.